Welcome to another episode of Behind the Dreamers. I'm Jennifer Loading, and we are talking to the achievers, the creators, the magic makers, and the dreamers. These are our friends. These are your friends, and they are living the extraordinary. Well, today, friends, I read an article. It was an awesome article. It was about using meditation combined with martial arts. And we all know the benefits of meditation. And obviously, we know there are benefits to martial artistry, right? But this particular article was interesting because I found something in it that I really, really liked. It said, now it's an older article, but it said that scientists at UCLA found that engaging in 12 minutes of yoga meditation daily for 8 weeks increased the body's supply of this word called telomerase. Am I saying it right? I don't know, but they've dubbed it the immortality enzyme. So it actually slows the cellular aging process. So I'm kind of excited about this. I think we need to be engaging in meditation more often. What's awesome is my guest today is a martial artist, who's also a meditation practitioner and teacher. And so we're super excited to chat with him today. But before we do that, we do need to give a shout out to our sponsors. And so today's episode is brought to you by Walt Mills Photography. If you're a creator needing post-production, consultation, or promotion, Walt Mills is your guy. Whether short films, YouTube films, photography work, or a new headshot, he can help you find a solution to match your needs. To learn more about Walt and his work, you're going to want to go to photosbywalt.com. We also want to give a shout out to Chris Clow of Upbeat Media Production. If you are in need of turnkey special event production, Clow is your go-to. You can learn more about him and his work at upbeatmediapro.com. All right. Well, we've been waiting. We got to get the guest on here today. Super excited. I say third time's a charm. We're going to get Malcolm on and we're going to finally get this episode out. I'm super excited. But just to let our audience know a little bit about you, Malcolm, he's the owner and instructor of MCA Seminars. He has a black belt in Tae Kwon Do with 34 years experience. He's a practitioner of Tai Chi with over 10 years experience, a certified meditation teacher and practitioner. He has a unique perspective on self-defense instruction called mindful self-defense and self-awareness that involves empowerment and situational avoidance. So welcome to the show, Malcolm. Super excited to get you here today.
Oh, you're very welcome. It is really, really good to be here.
That's right. And we're going to get this. We're going to get this right today.
Of course. Yeah. Well, we've always gotten it right. We just haven't saved it for prosperity. We haven't done that yet. So
I like that.
We're going to do it now.
I like that. And I always say, look, sometimes we just have to do these run-throughs a few times. We get them perfected, right? And they get better and better. So I know today's going to be a great episode, and I'm super excited to chat with you and share your story and what you're doing. So I want to kick this thing off because you've got these MCA seminars. And so I want you real quick just to kind of tell us a little bit about what you're doing and how you're serving your clients. And then we're going to jump into the background behind this.
Okay. What I'm doing is it's a self-defense class. And a lot of people out there have self-defense classes teaching you how to take care of yourself in a potentially violent situation. But mine's a little different. What I'm doing is I'm about half self-defense and about half working on your mind. Because if your mind is not in the game, if your mind is not right where it needs to be in the moment, then anything I teach you physically is not gonna help. Because if you're in this zone of just frozen with fear because your opponent is just right there and he's gonna do this and that, the other, and he's yelling at you, your physicality is not gonna matter. It's not gonna matter at all. You need to have your mindset. You need to be empowered. You need to know that you can take care of yourself in a situation. You need to realize how powerful you are. And how powerful he isn't, or she isn't, depending on who's right there. So yeah, that's pretty much what I do.
Yeah, and when you talk about that whole mindset thing, and I know I've shared this with you before, and the mind is so powerful. We both know that, right? Because we're in that field where we work with people in their headspace. And and I don't run near as much as I used to, but when I was running a lot, we were doing pretty much racing every single weekend. And it was so funny because I could go out, one day and run a half marathon or a marathon and be mentally prepared to run that race, and then the next weekend go to do a 5K and absolutely not be mentally prepared to run the race. The body was trained to do both. However, my mind was not in the right place to actually do the run. And so you're so right when you say that you have to be mentally prepared, because when you're not, it's, it's almost like that saying, if you think you can, you can. And if you think you can't, you can't, right? You're right.
Right. The old self-fulfilling prophecy. You're talking exactly about that. Yeah. I want to jump back just a little bit. You talked about how that article that you read, how meditation helps your basically just slow the aging process. You're absolutely right about that, because I saw a documentary. I wish I could remember the name of it, but they did a study on a Buddhist monk. He was 42 years old. No, at the time he was 42 years old. They measured the age of his brain. I don't know how they did that, but he had the brain of a 30-year-old. And when he was asked to go into certain meditative states, he was able to create a mental state of great joy, or maybe a mental state of great sorrow. And they had him hooked up to an EKG, and the readings on the EKG were equal to like certain other mental states like stroke or seizure. They're registering the same. But he'd been meditating since he was about 12 years old. So he had about 30 years or so meditation experience, but he had such control over his mind that he had a youthful mind, and he was able to create certain states of being. So, when you meditate and get to that point, oh my God, sky's the limit. So,
yeah.
sure.
Meditation is a powerful thing. And I think I shared with you that I studied transcendental meditation many years ago. I actually studied it with my oldest daughter, and I did it because we were at the time, because we were going through it was during when I was dealing with my health condition, but we were also going pretty stressful time with my daughter. And so we kind of did it together, but I can't tell you like how helpful. I mean, I still do it. I don't do it near as much as I was then, but how helpful it was when I was going through that process, just the grief, but also the pain and all of the other things, because it really brought me back centered to a place where I could find a little bit of calm. Like really, when you're in that stressful time, it can actually center you. And there was actually a guest on our show. He was actually our very first guest. Seneca. He's an amazing guy. I don't know if you caught our first episode that we did when we launched Behind the Dreamers, but he was in prison and he started doing meditation in prison and teaching it to other people. And now he's out, obviously, and he's got a nonprofit that he's doing and all these great things, but a big core of his existence, and he does a lot of, videos and stuff, is on meditation. So we know the benefits of it, and, and you're doing a great thing because you're combining it with what you're doing. So I can absolutely see, how your clients are really benefiting from all of this combined artistry of, the martial arts and the meditation.
It is. I mean, it's like I said, I feel like I bring a unique perspective to just self-defense training. And hence, a lot of my students are like, women and girls, and, some that don't want to get in that situation, and some who've been in the situation. I've told myself, I don't ever want to be in that situation again. So they need the tools for their toolbox. They need the help. They need the mindset. They need the growth. And what's important, like I said, is the empowerment. Because let me go into an aspect of when somebody is attacked.
Yeah.
An attacker is going to be, chances are he's going to try to find somebody who's smaller than he is, somebody he can intimidate. Chances are he's going to try to yell. He wants to be scary. He's going to try to overpower you with his size. And most of the time, he doesn't want an audience. It's going to be late at night, in the dark. If he doesn't have you in a vulnerable place, he will try to put you in a vulnerable place. And what you have to realize is that if you come across as being not vulnerable, just as scary, just as mean, somebody who is not to be messed with, then that will deter him, because his attitude towards you is to scare you and to intimidate you. But if you come back as somebody that says, I'm not taking that crap. I'm not doing that. You come near me, I'll hurt you. If you come at him with those types of attitude, then he may back off in the process, or he'll go away immediately, saying that person doesn't matter if they're 5'5", 6'5". I'm not going to mess with that person. That person has the wrong attitude. I can't intimidate that person. I cannot overpower that person. So he's going to say, well, I'm going to back off. I'm going to look for somebody that I can.
Yeah. So you're teaching the technique, obviously the technique of the self-defense, but also bringing that mindset piece of you've got this and being able to overpower and dominate your attacker and know that, hey, if somebody comes up to you, you can take care of this.
Exactly. I teach people how to overpower somebody without laying a hand on them.
Wow.
So I feel that's more important because everybody says, okay, I got my weapons. Maybe it's the keys between the fingers.
Yeah.
Maybe it's my long fingernails. I said, no, it's your stare and it's your voice. People overlook those two things.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So interesting.
And
yeah.
It's body language too.
Yeah.
Also very important.
I'm not an expert in that, but I would agree with you on that because I think body language is important in so many things, right? It's important when you walk in a room.
Exactly.
It's important, when you're making a presentation, it's going to be no different when you're going into something like that. Body language is going to be important. And I think I shared with you that I did take, many moons ago in my early 20s, I think when my oldest was young, I took a self-defense course. It was nothing major, it was probably like a 6-week thing. And it's so funny because I still remember some things from that course, things to do. And it's funny because I haven't really had to use that, obviously, but I have been in some situations where we've been in a parking garage and somebody's approached us that's been in, kind of a sketchy situation. But, body language is important, like I need to whip a heel off my shoe. It's, my shoe off, it's coming off, So I think this is great what you're doing. I wanted to ask you, so your background, I've read here. Okay. So you have 34 years in Tae Kwon Do and Tai Chi. Tell us a little bit about that. Did you start? When did you start all this? You've been doing it, I feel like forever.
I've been doing it ever, I guess, on and off because even though my belt is in Tae Kwon Do, I've studied other martial arts. I've studied some jujitsu, Wing Chun, which is something that Bruce Lee started out with, Kempo, kickboxing. Because I believe that there isn't one specific martial arts that can effectively prepare you for every type of situation. Because it's like the Tae Kwon Do guys have really, really good kicks. But if you're in close quarters combat and you don't have a lot of room, you got to use something else. So that's why, you can't use your feet. Maybe then you have your elbows and you have your knees, and maybe you have your forehead too. That is also a weapon.
Yeah.
So I studied many different styles between here and California for sure. I started out in Tae Kwon Do in a school in Duncanville. A gentleman by the name of Brian Brown. This is like, oh my God, I'm going to date myself, but it's okay. It's like early 80s. So I started out with him, and I moved up through another instructor, a guy named Peter Miller. Peter Miller was an influence in my life too. He taught me the importance of being tough. Then I had other instructors like Troy Dorsey. Troy Dorsey is a world champion kickboxer, and he has a school down in Mansfield. And he taught me the importance of just good technique, toughness, and just how to move also. All the way up through Texas Karate Institute with David Mason, and up to my present instructors, which is Grandmaster Phil Wildman and Grandmaster Barry Gimbalo. Those guys, you feel like I've been around a long time. Those guys have been around since, I would say, late 60s, early 70s. And they're excellent at what they do, for sure. And, going around with the different Tae Kwon Do schools, you get to learn, even though it's the same style, you get to learn everybody's interpretation of the art. Because everybody, even though they're within the same style, they have something that's a little bit different that they can contribute. So I appreciate the fact that I've been to so many schools that I am well-rounded. And let's see, being out in California is where I did the Kempo and the Wing Chun. I was I was in the movie business for a little while, so I was doing some stunt work. That's where I did the Wing Chun and the Kempo to my stylings, because I had fellow stunt workers that were also martial artists, and I got some experience doing that too, along with the kickboxing. So I was grateful for that as well.
Well, I learned something new about you today, Malcolm. I didn't know that you did stunt work. So, wow. But I want to say that I think the fact that you mentioned that you have studied all these different arts, I think that's remarkable, because it says that, like you mentioned, you're open to learning these things, but also realizing that there are different pieces that you need to get, different perspectives, different techniques. One may work in one scenario, but may not work in the next scenario, right? And so I think this says a lot about your character as an instructor, that you're not so dead set on this is the only way that we're gonna teach this. We need to look at this as a broad perspective and say, hey, my goal is to take care of my client, and how do I give them what they need, right? The best perspective. So I appreciate that, from the other side, and definitely see the benefit of that. So
you touched on something really quick. It's like also when I personal train, I don't personally train the same way for everybody, because I tailor the personal training to the individual's needs.
Yeah.
Because some person might say, okay, I want to learn how to kick and punch more, or I will learn how to grapple and throw more. I want to learn more the Tai Chi aspect. I want to go slow and just use it for exercise, and maybe a little self-defense. But I think blanket way overall, everybody's got to learn meditation, no matter how I'm tailoring it, because you can't do one without the other. You really can't.
I agree. But I like how you said you tailor it, because I feel that's the way coaching is on my end too. I feel like you can't, I'll have people ask me and they're like, what's your typical client and how long to get them here? And I always have to say, everybody's different, because it really just depends how you show up to the table, how quick you learn, how quick you apply the skills, where's your headspace coming in the door? Are you needing a lot of development, or are you kind of already there? Everybody's different. So I can appreciate that you're tailoring this, because I think that's the best way to do this. I mean, we can set programs up, but really when you're building people and trying to keep clients, what is this experience that we're trying to create for these people, right? Like that's what we want to be known for, is the experience that we create for the client.
Exactly.
This is good. Okay. Right. So defining moment, like when you started all this, I mean, as a child, did you know you were going to grow up and be this entrepreneur? Did you have this drive, or was there something that just kind of, you got into martial arts and it sort of kind of just evolved that way?
Well, there's one thing that I tell myself. It's like first of all, my study in martial arts was just for self-improvement, because I already had a job. I've been in IT, for over 25 years. So that's how I've made my money. And so, even though I've made some money in the martial arts, it's never been about the money. So, I first had an inkling or a drive to learn martial arts back in England when I was, I would say, probably about 12 years old. I was born in England. So when I was about 12, I really wanted to get into martial arts, but never knew how, never knew where to start. And then when we moved over to the United States, I guess what really just said, I'm going to go do this, was see my first Bruce Lee movie. I said, I'm seeing him, he's fast, he's strong, he's cut, he's chiseled, he's in great shape. He's working the nunchakus, he's whipping them around his body. I say, I want to do that. I want to be just like that. And he'd do this movement where he'd flex, and his arms were almost out to his sides, and his lateral muscles were just huge. And I said, God, how does he get those muscles so big? And people don't realize it. That's a punching muscle. That gives your body stability when you punch. That's why those muscles are so big. So I'm seeing him. It's like, well, I got to do this. So that's when I ran off to my first Tae Kwon Do school. I actually had to wait till I could pay for it. I would take a smattering of free lessons wherever I could, and I had to wait till I could pay for it. So I actually didn't start taking lessons till I was a teenager. So, and then, like I said, it wasn't about the money; it was about self-improvement. And as the years went by, I'm telling myself, well, I'm loving what I'm doing. I get paid for what I'm doing. Then I'm thinking about retiring from my job, and I'm thinking, I don't want to be one of those people that just kind of retires and they just kind of sit around or they don't have anything to do. So I got the idea of tailoring it into a business. It becomes, how it is. You have the full-time job, then you have the side hustle. And then eventually when you retire, the side hustle comes into the full-time gig. So that's what I'm building into, is to just doing it full time, because it's something that I love to do. I'll practice whether I get paid for it or not, but I have something valuable to bring to others, and I can really help a lot of people. So that's become a great passion, a newly revived passion, I guess, for myself, like going into retirement and beyond.
It's where the passion and the purpose create the business. You said a lot of really good things there. I love it. So as you're building this up, I think it's great. I think that when you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. And the next key is, how do we take that and make that into a business, right? Which is what you're doing now. So as an entrepreneur, because we do have a lot of people listening to this that are business owners, and what do you feel like has been, and it may have just been during the last 2 years, we had all this stuff going on with the pandemic and everything. We're kind of moving out of that now and finally getting back to normalcy. But as an entrepreneur, what do you feel like has been maybe the biggest struggle in that space right now for you?
Like I said, besides COVID, took a hit during COVID. I said one of the biggest struggles has been trying to come out of that, and just trying to develop clients, because people are still, even though we're out of the pandemic, people are still kind of a little bit afraid. It's been a little bit of a struggle in terms of it's all a process. It's a growing thing. It's like, I want to get out there and I want to promote as much as possible. But, I've promoted myself. I've put out flyers, and, I've had seminars and I've had nobody show up.
Yeah.
That's happened a couple of times. And I'm thinking, what am I doing wrong? I mean, I'm good. I know I can do this. And it's just been, who I've been presenting my I guess my product, who I've been presenting myself to, how I've been advertising myself, learning the advertising, marketing, and promotion side of what I want to do with my business has been the struggle, because I already know what to do once I get the people in front of me, but it's like, okay, so how to get the people in front of me? So it's learning how to do that, which has been the growth and the process.
Yeah. And that's a common thread, I think, amongst a lot of entrepreneurs when they're trying to build their businesses in that growth stage, is how do you get, find your market? Who are your people, right? Find that 20% that are your people and get them to show up. But I think, we've all had that presentation. I mean, I've been, I was in the network marketing space for many, many years, and we all had that spot where we show up and nobody's there. We're just like mortified, thinking we're doing everything wrong. We're really not. It's just sometimes that's the way it works out, right? But I think the great thing here is that you keep persisting and keep going. And there are people that do have what that want what you have to offer, and you have a great service for those people in need. What do you feel like? You said a lot of great things here. What do you feel like you've learned in this journey? Like, what's the big takeaway here for you?
Like I said, besides the learning to be a better advertiser and a better marketer, I would say biggest takeaway is just learning how to read people, I guess. Learning how to put yourself out there. Learning how to not really convince, but just show people how sincere you are and how valuable your product is.
Yeah.
So just that, really, I would say.
That's good. I would agree with you on all of that, especially the learning how to read people. That's important. I just got off of a phone call with somebody today, and that's the thing we were talking about today in networking is how do you learn to read people and know when to come back off, when to move forward, like reading the body language and just learning how to navigate. It's a process. It takes time to do all that. It's like everything, the marketing, learning your craft, right? Like learning all the behind the scenes to get to where you are. So good stuff, Malcolm. Good stuff. Any advice you want to offer for anybody? Maybe they're looking to start martial arts. Maybe that's what they want to be, a first-time student and come out there. Any, advice you want to offer them other than to come see you?
Yeah. Yeah, of course, they need to come see me because, of course, I'm the best instructor out there. So, yeah. So, no, actually, that's pretty much just it. Find a good instructor. Do your research. Actually, first of all, find a martial art you feel like resonates with you. Yeah. Whether it be something that involves a lot of grappling, holds, throws. Do you like to kick and punch? Once you find out what resonates with you, then you have to find a good instructor and a good school. Do your research in all the schools in the area. Make sure there's nobody out there that just wants to, what we call creating paper tigers, which is basically just giving you a certificate, having you pay money, you get a certificate and not really concentrating on making sure you know what you need to know to go from one level to another. That's hugely important. Sit in on some classes. Like I said, get to know an instructor, get to know his experience, get to know how he teaches. I don't know, is he good with kids? Does he or she like, teach men only, women only? Research all these different aspects. And like I said, just don't settle on any one because there's a lot of us out there. There really are.
That's good advice, Malcolm. I think that's applicable in so many ways. I think like the overall arching message is there, do your research, right? Do your research. And I think it's the same, if we were going to transfer that advice to somebody starting a business, it would be the same thing, right? Do your research. Do your research and know your stuff so that you know what you're doing. I think that exactly. I feel like that fits so many things in life. Like jump into things and they don't pursue because they don't know what they're going into. I mean, there's a point where you have to say, okay, enough research. Now you've done enough. Now you got to quit toe dipping and jump in. Now we got to go, right? We got to get in. But definitely, I would agree with you on the finding the right instructor and the right art and because sometimes you do stuff and it's just not your thing, and then you're kind of forcing that and. Right. There's a lot of great things out there to do. So this has been good. So my last question before we do some fun question. This is my favorite one. I've asked you this like every time. I'm going to see if we're going to come up with the same one. But if we had to sum Malcolm up in one word, what would be that one word?
It's still going to be the same word. It's different.
I like it.
Because that's what I bring. I bring something that's different and I make a difference. Because I guarantee you one thing, you're going to take something away from my seminars or from my classes that's going to help you. That's going to change your outlook on how you see yourself, how you see others, and especially how you see yourself and others in the moment.
Yeah. Different's good. I like it. You have to be different, especially you need to not only to your clients, but you do need to be different, right? Like you need to be different because that's the big question is when somebody's going, okay, where do I go to a martial artist? Who is that person that's going to be different, right? It's kind of like all the other industries out there. We all know lots of real estate agents, lots of financial planners, right? Insurance agents. Like what makes that particular one different from the rest and standing out? And you've got it. I think you got it going on, Malcolm. So good stuff. All right. So we got to do some fun. Let's do some fun questions. We did all the serious stuff. Now we got to get a little fun here. And these are meant, like I said, all the time, these are meant to be quick. They're never quick, but we always attempt to start them off that way. Okay. All right. So let's start off with favorite sports team.
Which sport?
We'll go I don't know. I guess you got several. We'll go football.
Dallas Cowboys.
Good answer.
For sure.
Good answer.
Yeah. Cowboy fans since the 80s.
Somebody asked me the other day what college football team I'm like, I don't really watch football. You want to ask me basketball? Maybe I could tell you that one, but I don't know. So good answer, Malcolm. Good answer. All right. Since I know you're you live the healthy lifestyle like I do, I got to ask you this question. What is your favorite guilty pleasure?
As far as like just food that's like not too terribly healthy.
Yeah, not too terribly healthy.
Yeah. God, I think first thing that comes up, I gotta have my chocolate cake with vanilla ice cream. That's yeah, gotta have that.
Sometimes you just have to eat the cake, Malcolm. Sometimes you just, don't do it every day. Sometimes you just gotta eat the cake,
Yeah, it's not an everyday thing for sure, but it's like it's a once in a while.
Yeah, I went into the store the other day and bought some, because I like ice cream, but I don't really eat it that much. But I went into the store the other day to buy this like keto ice cream. It's like lactose free, low carb, no sugar. It's like chocolate chip cookie dough. And I get it home and I'm like, there's not much taste to this. Like, I think I just need some ice cream.
Buy the normal stuff.
Yeah, no, I still didn't. I'm still finishing it off because I bought it now. So I'm not going to waste it. It's okay. But I'm like, nothing beats just like, sometimes you just need the ice cream, you just got to do
exactly.
All right. Favorite travel destination? Any place that you just particularly love?
Place that I want to go, place that I've already been.
Well, we can do both. Let's go with where you've been and then maybe where you want to go.
Okay. One of the favorite places I've already been. Well, besides England, of course.
Yeah.
Because been there, done that.
Yeah.
I would say favorite place that I've been was that would be Beijing.
Very cool.
Yeah. Beijing, China. Yeah, I went to the Great Wall. Everybody's got to go to the Great Wall.
Yeah, awesome, Malcolm.
Awesome. And place that I want to go. I would say Africa.
I've known some people that have gone there. I've had some friends that have been there. So
yeah, for sure.
Trips and stuff. So I hear cool things. It's a very much of a like an eye-opening type experience. So definitely. All right. Last fun question. Who's your favorite? Maybe do you have a favorite music that you like, type of music that you like to listen to?
I said not a specific favorite. It depends on the mood.
Yeah.
Like, okay. It's about just listening to, or if I want to go dance, or
maybe just give me let's do maybe you're going dancing. What kind of music you like to listen to when you go dancing?
Oh, that's going to be something old school, 80s and 90s, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cute. Like hip hop, like pop, what any particular kind, or just all of it?
I would say just pop, synth pop.
Gotcha.
R&B, all of that kind of mixed into one.
Yeah, that would be a hard question for me too.
There's a few clubs. There's one club in Houston I go to with my friend Chris. It's called Etro in Houston. That's 80s, and that's always a fun time. Yeah. And then there's a place out in Fort Worth too. I forget the name of it, but anyway.
Yeah, you can't go wrong if there's 80 music. But I'm like you. That would be a hard question for me too, because my mood changes and it depends. Sometimes I'm listening to country music. Sometimes I got hardcore rock on. And the other day I'm listening to 80s. It just kind of depends on, I would say as the spirit moves me for the day. Right? Whatever.
Exactly.
So this has been fun.
Classical.
Yeah. This has been fun, Malcolm. If our audience wanted to learn a little bit more about your seminars and a little bit about you, where would you like us to send them?
Couple of places. You can send me an email at MCA Seminars at outlook.com. I send you all the information that you need. Or look me up on Facebook at MCA Seminars. Send me a message through there. I'll check out what's on my page there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. We'll make sure too, when this goes out, that we'll get you tagged and then we'll get the appropriate links or whatever needs to be put on there so people can come find you. So this has been good. Love what you're doing, Malcolm. Thanks for sharing some tips with us and enlightening our people. And, I'll say to our audience, of course, go check Malcolm out. You want to learn some martial arts. He's very well versed in the art and the industry, and he'll get your head right and get you on the road. So you'll be a powerful martial artist, or at least know your self-defense, right? Protect yourself. So good stuff.
Exactly. And have the best mindset ever.
That's right. We want mindset. I'm with you on that one. We want strong mindset for sure.
Okay.
All right. So to our listeners, of course, we want to say, if you enjoy our podcast, please be sure you give us a rating both on iTunes and Facebook, because we can't do this without you, and hit that subscribe button on the YouTube. And of course, we want to leave you with a final thought. In order to live the extraordinary, you must start, and every start begins with a decision. You guys take care, be safe, and be kind to one another. We will see you next time.